My entitled parents demand my kid's social security number as they claim they want to start up a bank account in his name. But after my parents use my name for their own financial gain, as well as the multiple times they've declared bankruptcy over the years, I'm concerned they would only use my son's social security number to try and ruin his life in the way they tried to ruin mine. Because right now they are very angry that I won't hand it over. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my dad thinks that I should just give him my kid's social security number as if it's somehow just no big deal. He wants to start a bank account for my little guy. It sounds harmless, but my parents suck at taking care of their finances. They've been bankrupt at least once and bailed out every few years by my grandparents while they were still living. When I moved out at 20 years old, I found out they had overdue utility bills in my name, so I could not open up any accounts for my first apartment until I paid it off for them. They took money from me while I was a minor while I was working at my first job. They also emptied $1,500 from my savings account and never paid it back to this day. So no, I don't trust them at all. My parents have been hounding my husband and I for weeks, if not months, and we have been politely dodging it. And because of that, my parents started getting really upset. So I politely told my parents that my baby already has a savings account and they can contribute to it if they like. And boy, did they flip out when I told them that. They still demanded my baby's social security number and then starts calling us names. And at this point, I just flat out say no. I tell them they didn't need his social security number to open a savings account in which the baby is a beneficiary, but they countered that they do need that. They then proceeded to tell me that my baby won't receive any money from them until they get it. But the thing is, I don't care. I'm also pretty sure they don't have any money anyways, besides the inheritance money after my grandmother passed away, that they are literally just smoking through. My dad even had his grandfather change his will less than 6 months before his death, and right when he was showing signs of dementia. My grandpa, right before he died, asked me what my dad had him sign and showed me the new will asking me to translate it. And basically, it was leaving the grandkids out of the will and making my dad the sole proprietor, the executor, and giving him power of attorney. Everything was completely changed. Now, with no point in contesting it, my husband and I want to cut ties and move very far away. I mean, we could care less about what, $15,000 in total? And it's just another negative way they can use money and positions of power. I even called one of the top 5 nationwide banks in the United States, and they say you don't need a social security number. But either way, it is not happening. They tried to corner my husband behind my back, but he wouldn't budge either. So my anger towards them just continues to rise. They make snide comments at every holiday so far, and my baby's birthday is coming up soon too, but I don't care. I mean, my idiot brother dolled out his kid's social security number, all without any consent from his wife or even thinking about it. So now it makes my parents say that I don't trust them, but of course I don't. Because in my opinion, someone with good intentions wouldn't get this angry, because I blatantly don't trust my parents in the slightest. Yeah, it really seems like your parents are trying to find new victims of some kind of fraudulent situation, which is exactly what you found yourself in when you were a minor. Like, that is honestly awful, and there is no good excuse for that. Like, if they're willing to put your name under the account for utilities even though you're a minor, then who's to say they wouldn't do that to their grandkids? Like, they've done it once, why wouldn't they do it again? That is so dishonest and just really creepy. There's no reason for that behavior, and there's no reason for them to have your kid's social security number, because based on their history, they're only gonna ruin your kid's life, and that is absolutely not okay. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to emmythejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My entitled coworker claims that I'm the reason she buys coffee every single day, and that she's wasting all this money simply because I won't share the creamer I bought for myself. But it's all so nonsensical, as our work literally offers free coffee and creamer downstairs. And I'm still honestly speechless by my coworker's incredible laziness. Here's what happened. First of all, let me just say that I am honored that I have this much power in my coworker's life. I had no idea, and apparently I'm using this power for evil instead of good. For some context, my coworker is extremely behind on bills because her college-age daughter uses her credit card, and she racked up thousands of dollars in debt. In food-related charges in one semester, she had over $5,000 on the credit card. Now, my coworker still gave her the card the next semester because she couldn't have the daughter walk in the dining hall and have food that she didn't like, even though the food was already paid for, mind you. And the kid also didn't want to cook in the kitchen, even though she paid for a weekly grocery delivery from the grocery store. But you know, I'm not a parent, so maybe I just don't understand. Anyways, my coworker is looking to save money. I grab a coffee daily from the lunchroom. Basically, it's hot water that that I add my own stuff, which is like coffee and some creamer, and I guess herein lies the problem. My coworker keeps forgetting to buy the coffee that she needs. Now, for the record, I'm not sharing my expensive coffee with her. That is honestly where I draw the line. And when I say forget, I mean that she runs to the grocery store almost daily because they need a very specific cereal that day, especially when they're running out of that in their house, instead of just eating something else that they have in the house. And again, let me emphasize, I'm not a mother, so maybe this is normal. But if I tried that with my mother, I would not have had any cereal to eat. So instead of Amazoning like a normal human being, she just needs to grab some Dunkin' Donuts every single morning. Now, here comes the part where apparently I'm costing her money. We have free coffee downstairs and free cream, but again, it's downstairs. This coworker walks by it every single morning, and when she does remember to bring coffee, she forgets to grab the cream, and then she messages me saying she's too tired and doesn't know what she's gonna do. But here's the thing, I have cream at my desk. My cream is not the same as the one downstairs. Do you see where this is going? I buy my cream in flavors in the single serve variety, and I do this in large quantities because I'm horrible at remembering what I bought, so I just stock up to save me some time. So theoretically, I might have some extra. But as you can guess, the guilt-tripping text messages came daily for weeks, but never outright asking me that she wants some. I would always say, hey, just grab some downstairs. She told me that because she doesn't have cream, she now just stops at Dunkin' Donuts every morning. So to review, because I won't share my $50 worth of cream, she's now telling me that she goes to Dunkin' Donuts every morning, which apparently she can't afford. And honestly, with all things considered, I can definitely see exactly where the daughter gets it from. Wow, your coworker is not only incredibly stupid, but also incredibly lazy. If she wanted to have the cream with the coffee, she would go downstairs, get it, and then bring it back to her desk. But I guess that's like too hard for her or something like that. Like seriously, what's going on here? Like this is not your fault or your problem in the slightest, and this definitely sounds like she's just being lazy and trying to guilt trip you into giving up your cream. And I'm so glad you didn't cave into these weird demands. Like I guarantee you the second you give that up even once, she's gonna ask for that every single time at work. I guarantee you that's just gonna be the tip of the iceberg, and then suddenly she's gonna be taking it from you without even asking. This is her way of like testing the limits, if you will. So good for you for sticking to it and saying no, because if given the chance based on what you've described, I'm convinced that your lazy coworker would take all of your creamer and use it all for herself. A group of entitled customers refuse to leave when I tell them that we're closing, as they beg and plead to stay just a little bit longer for their stupid games. And I'm honestly so annoyed having to deal with customers that act like this. Here's what happened. For reference, this happened last night. I work security at a bar, and I mainly check IDs and make sure the place doesn't get too rowdy, which thankfully doesn't really happen. Last night, a group of mostly British people came in at around 11 or 11:30, and they stayed until we closed at about 2 o'clock. We have a ping pong table, and the group spent most of their time playing on it. The night continued as normal. I closed the back areas of the bar at 1 and announced last call 30 minutes later. 2 o'clock in the morning rolls around, and the first issue comes up. I turn off the music in the middle of a song, which the group expressed disappointment in, even though it was a Nickelback song. I say to them, hey guys, it's 2 o'clock. We are officially closed. It's time to head to the exit. One of the men from the group said, can we have some photos in the photo booth first? So I look at them and I say, okay, fine. I let them take their photos, and I do a couple of other jobs during this time. Our photo booth is slow, so it takes them a couple of minutes to take all the photos. As this is going on, the two guys are still playing ping pong. I finished the brief task that I was doing, and I see that the group was finished taking their photos, and the ping pong guys are still playing. At this point, it's about 2:05 in the morning. I say to them, okay guys, we're officially closed. One of the guys said, okay, but just 2 more points. But I said to them, no, 1 more point. I let them do a game point, reminding them that this is the last point of the night, with the guy asking for more time eventually getting the point. I look at them again and I say, all right, we are closed, it's time to head out. But then they ask for 2 more minutes. I look at them and I say, I already gave you 5 minutes. But they come back at me and say, oh, come on, just 2 more minutes. So I said, well, I already gave you a game point. But that's when they started whining. They said, come on, man, just 2 more minutes. I said to them, I already gave you 5 minutes. We are closed. He continues to plead his case, but I continue to deny him. The group he's with are keeping out of it, but they're basically all ready to go. The guy says to me, how will you be able to sleep tonight knowing you kept a game from finishing? I looked at him and said, I'm gonna sleep like a baby. He then looked at me and said, yeah, you look like a baby. Now, at this point, I'm pretty much done with this guy. I act like I didn't hear him, and I just simply take the paddles and the ball away. And eventually, the group leaves. Someone from the main group says, I'm sorry about that. He's from a different country. I say to them, it's all right. It's just time to go. Please please have a good night. Now, I do legitimately wish them a good night before locking the door, but it is sometimes incredibly annoying dealing with customers who act like this. I relate to this story so much because seriously, there is nothing more annoying than having customers sit around right when you are literally trying to close the store up. But I can say that if you ever give customers an inch, they will absolutely take a mile. Like, they got you twice, once for the photo booth and once for the ping pong table, and honestly, that's like 2 more times than I would ever allow anybody to stick around. So hopefully, next time you can just give them the boot, because in my opinion, when someone says it's closing time, that means it's your turn to get up and leave. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for not inviting my friend's ex-girlfriend to my party, all because they had a really messy breakup? Because right now, my friend is incredibly angry with me, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, I recently organized a small gathering at my place, and I intentionally did not invite my friend's ex-girlfriend. They broke up on bad terms, and I didn't want to create any awkwardness or discomfort for my friend. However, when my friend found out, they accused me of being unfair and excluding their ex for no reason. Now, here's some additional context. This messy breakup happened about 6 months ago. There were allegations of cheating and dishonesty from both sides, which resulted in a lot of hurt feelings and resentment. Since the breakup, my friend has been trying to heal and move on from the experience. They've been avoiding any conflict or interaction with their ex to help facilitate this process. When I decided to throw a party, I carefully curated the guest list to include people who get along well and have some kind of positive energy. So, because of that, I deliberately left out my friend's ex because I didn't want to disrupt the harmony of the event. I thought it would be insensitive to invite someone who would potentially cause emotional distress to my friend, especially considering the recent breakup. However, my friend didn't see it that way. They accused me of taking sides and punishing their ex unfairly. They argue that their ex is also part of our friend group and should have been included in the invitation. They accused me of prioritizing their feelings over those of their ex, and they felt betrayed by my decision. To make matters worse, unbeknownst to me, another friend decided to invite my friend's ex without consulting me. When the ex showed up at the party, tensions immediately rose. My friend became visibly upset and confronted me about why I didn't inform them about the change in the guest list. The atmosphere became tense and the party quickly lost its lively vibe. But things took a dramatic turn when, in the heat of an argument between my friend and their ex, the ex-girlfriend threatened to call the police on the party for allegedly having a noise violation. The situation escalated quickly, and I found myself torn between trying to diffuse the tension and feeling like my intentions to create a comfortable environment for my friend had just completely backfired. So now I'm left wondering if I made the right decision by excluding my friend's ex from the party. Was I too biased in favor of my friend? Should I have considered inviting their ex despite the messy history? Or was I justified in trying to prioritize my friend's comfort by excluding their ex? I really need to know if I'm the jerk in this situation, especially how things spiraled out of control when the ex unexpectedly showed up and caused all this chaos. What should I do? You are definitely not the jerk, and in my opinion, I don't think you should have invited any of them. Your friend, your ex, literally all of them suck. How can your friend possibly be heartbroken over his ex trying to cheat on him, but then turn around and be like, oh my god, why didn't you invite her? You're only prioritizing my feelings. And then on top of all of that garbage, get upset with you when they finally do show up. So like, which one is it? Are you comfortable with them being there or are you not? Because the friend you're talking about is literally playing both sides of the fence. They're both upset that you didn't invite them while also being upset that they showed up. Like seriously, what does this guy want? Like, I wonder if there were any signs before this party that kind of showed that, hey, maybe they shouldn't show up to this party in the first place. Because their behavior is literally insane. I get that they just broke up and clearly it's very messy. But for them to act like that at your party, that in my opinion is completely inappropriate. So no, of course not. You are definitely not the jerk. You were literally just trying to help out your friend and try to like perfectly curate this party so that anyone who shows up is going to be a positive and good influence. And the fact that all of this went off the rails literally is not your fault, but rather it falls on your friend and his ex-girlfriend. Am I the jerk for getting upset with my boyfriend after he gave a lady a ride home while my kid was in the car? Because right now I feel really guilty, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So yesterday after church, we stopped at a gas station less than 1 minute away from where we live. It's me, my boyfriend who is driving, and my 14-month-old in a car. I was on my phone when suddenly my boyfriend was opening the backseat door to let a lady who was maybe in her 60s inside the car with her grocery bags. Apparently she was asking people people for a ride home and he accepted. On the way there, they were chatting and he even pointed out where we live, which really concerned me. She lived quite far away from the gas station and I was surprised that she said she walked there, though it wasn't more than 5 minutes away. I was really upset that my boyfriend let a stranger into our backseat with our daughter. The lady was very nice, but these days you have no idea if people are carrying a weapon on them. I told him that I wish he could have at least let her sit up front just so she wasn't near our toddler, or dropped us off at home first and then went back to get her. That would have taken what, like 3 minutes for him to do? Well, I brought this all up to my boyfriend and he got really mad at me for not being more Christ-like and called me an awful person who lives in fear. I'm honestly quite the opposite and usually quite trusting of people, but just not when it comes to my daughter. She's too young to talk or understand anything. Also, I was so mad at him for what felt like weaponizing religion against me for my concern. I'm feeling really guilty now because it's not like I don't think that it was sweet that he wanted to give her a ride home, but I just had a mom instinct to protect my daughter. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you are definitely not the jerk. Your concerns are completely valid. You have a kid in the car and you're letting a strange person into the car with the kid in the back seat? Like seriously, what's going on here? This is not the time to be charitable around someone that you do not know. I mean, he didn't even talk to you first and be like, oh, can we give that lady a ride? As if you're not in the car with him as well. So in that regards, I think you're completely right. That lady could have gone nuts and pulled out a weapon of some kind. She could have been a threat waiting to happen. Like in today's day and age, there's no way I'm gonna take that chance, especially with a kid in the car. Now, if it was just the two of you and you were both like on your way home and you gave this lady a ride to wherever she needed to go, then sure, there might be a case to say, oh yeah, let's just give her a ride real quick. But to do that without talking with you first about that, especially with a kid in the car, in my opinion, is incredibly inappropriate. I personally think that's pretty obvious, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section. Now, when it comes to him weaponizing his religion, in my opinion, that is incredibly hypocritical. He literally is just trying to guilt trip you and make you feel bad for not agreeing to something that you never were informed about. Like the way he's acting right now by weaponizing religion, I'm pretty sure goes against what his religion teaches. So I think it's hilarious how he's like, oh, you need to be more Christ-like. But you could easily spin that around and be like, yeah, guess what? So do you. So no, I don't think you're in the wrong at all. I think your boyfriend is completely out of line for the way he acted. And if anything, I think he is completely delusional for letting that lady in the car. Because not only do you not know who this lady is, but also things could have gone really bad really fast, and there's not much any of you could have done to try and stop it. An entitled customer complains about my service towards her, despite the fact that I wasn't even the person that served her at our bar. And I'm honestly just so sick of dealing with people like this, as I literally did nothing wrong for this entitled jerk. Here's what happened. So I worked this morning and we had a huge pop. Unfortunately, one of the bartenders hates stocking the bar when he closes, so when I work after him, I find myself having to stock for both his shift and mine to play catch up. Anyways, today wasn't different, but because of the rush, I couldn't stock as much as I'd like to, so I wouldn't have to stock 2 shifts worth of alcohol after my shift for the next person. When the rush was over, I had only one lady at my bar. I brought her a water and I asked her if she wanted anything to drink. She said no, and she asked about a salad. I answered her and said I'll give her a few minutes to look over the menu and that she can let me know if she has any questions. She said okay, so I ran downstairs to get a case of ginger beer. I was gone maybe 3 minutes max. I mean, everything in the basement is scattered around. When I come back, she's moved to a table, so I now have an empty bar. So I think to myself, whatever. I put all the stuff away, I cut up some fruit, and since she moved to a table, a server would take over her order since she didn't get anything from me. So then she comes up to the bar to pay, which is weird because servers do payments at the table, but I figured she might be in a rush, so I ran her card for the server. We had a pleasant interaction, and because her server is missing in action, I asked if there was anything else I could do for her, and after she said no, she just left. 2 minutes later, the host answers the phone asking for a manager. I was the shift lead, so I ended up having to take the call. The person on the phone says, I need a manager, and I said, well, I am the manager on duty as our general manager isn't here. She says to me, is this that idiot behind the bar? I said to her, I guess it is. She then said, I need to speak with someone that's not you. I said to her, okay, I can take your name and number and leave a message for the general manager to call you, but I do want to let you know that it wouldn't be until Tuesday. She then said to me, well, when can I call them? And once again, I said Tuesday would be the earliest. So I get her name and number and then I get hung up on. Now, I guess I just really don't understand. I didn't even serve her besides bring her some water. She moved to a table and she was served by a server who she also stiffed. I texted my general manager manager about it, and I asked her to check the camera footage to see when I went downstairs and when I came back up, and it was literally 3 minutes and 27 seconds. That is all the time I spent in the basement grabbing things to bring it back up. Like, am I crazy? I obviously wasn't trying to ruin this lady's whole day, but I guess according to her, I definitely did. Wow, that is honestly really weird to me. It doesn't make any sense why she would complain about you. You literally sat her down and said, "Oh, I'll be back," and then you were gone for less than 5 minutes. Like, that is no reason for anybody to be like, "Wow, I'm gonna complain about you. I need to talk to the general manager." Like, you didn't do anything. You were being completely reasonable with this lady. So for her to be like, "Is this that jerk behind the bar?" And by the way, she didn't say jerk. She said a swear word instead of jerk. And in my opinion, that's right when I would have hung up the phone, but that's just me. So seriously, the fact that she would complain about you just doesn't make any sense, because you were more than accommodating for this lady, and any complaint she could possibly muster up, in my opinion, is completely ridiculous. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.